Wednesday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful operates almost entirely on subtext, using quiet conversations and unspoken reactions to signal that several storylines are moving toward dangerous territory. Rather than explosive confrontations, the hour is built on discomfort, suspicion, and temptation slowly taking shape beneath the surface. At Forrester Creations, Electra's conversation with Ivy begins innocently enough, with her expressing disappointment about missing dinner with Will. However, what Electra is really struggling with is not the missed time, but the growing sense that something in Will's world is changing without her. Ivy, ever observant and protective, quickly identifies the source of Electra's unease. By reminding her niece that Will isn't alone and that Dylan is there, Ivy isn't just offering information, she's sounding an alarm. Ivy has seen these situations unfold before, where proximity and shared space quietly create emotional bonds that no one acknowledges until it's too late. Her warning isn't rooted in jealousy or distrust of Will, but in concern that Electra may be underestimating how easily lines can blur. Electra tries to maintain a balanced perspective, not wanting to accuse Dylan of anything unfair or paint herself as insecure. Yet her hesitation only deepens her internal conflict. She senses that something about Dylan's presence doesn't sit right, but she lacks concrete proof. Ivy's words linger with her, reinforcing the idea that intuition shouldn't be ignored simply because it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. That intuition seems increasingly justified as the episode subtly highlights Dylan's behavior. Rather than engaging openly, Dylan appears watchful, quietly absorbing conversations and reactions. The show doesn't explicitly label her actions as manipulative, but the choice to depict her as observant and quietly strategic suggests intent. Dylan's interest in Will feels less casual and more deliberate, which adds weight to Ivy's earlier warning. The sense that Dylan may be gathering information, testing boundaries, or positioning herself closer to Will introduces an undercurrent of tension that colors every interaction involving her. Meanwhile, Steffi and Taylor's scenes explore emotional boundaries from a different angle. Steffi voices a question that many have likely been thinking but no one has dared to say out loud. What happens if Deacon leaves Sheila to be with Taylor? The question itself is revealing, because it acknowledges the emotional charge still present between Deacon and Taylor. Taylor insists she can maintain professional distance and handle her responsibilities without complication, but Steffi isn't convinced. Her concern goes beyond professional ethics, it's deeply personal. She doesn't want her mother drawn into another emotionally volatile situation, especially one involving Sheila, whose reactions are never predictable. Steffi's request that Taylor stop seeing Deacon professionally is an attempt to put up emotional guardrails before anyone crosses a line. It reflects Steffi's awareness that attraction doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it grows quietly through repeated contact, shared history, and unresolved feelings. Taylor's confidence in her ability to manage the situation may be genuine, but it also hints at a blind spot: the belief that emotional entanglements can be controlled simply through intention. That blind spot becomes more apparent through Deacon's private moments. Alone, he allows himself to imagine a different life, one where he's no longer bound to Sheila and instead finds comfort and connection with Taylor. These fantasies don't involve immediate action, but they reveal where his heart is drifting. Deacon's commitment to Sheila begins to feel more like obligation than desire, and the longer he entertains these thoughts, the harder it will be to keep them from influencing his choices. His inner conflict sets up a classic soap dilemma: staying loyal to a volatile partner or pursuing a relationship that feels emotionally safer but comes with enormous consequences. What makes the episode particularly effective is how these storylines mirror one another. Electra worries about emotional boundaries being crossed quietly, while Taylor and Deacon inch closer emotionally without acknowledging it. Ivy issues warnings that may or may not be heeded, just as Steffi attempts to intervene before damage is done. In each case, characters are trying to prevent future pain by addressing present discomfort, but hesitation and denial threaten to undo those efforts. By the end of the episode, nothing has exploded, but the foundation for multiple confrontations has been laid. Electra's unease has deepened, Ivy's warning feels increasingly prophetic, Dylan's watchful presence raises more questions than answers, and Deacon's fantasies hint at betrayal waiting just beneath the surface. Wednesday's episode is less about action and more about inevitability, the sense that unless someone listens to their instincts and sets firm boundaries now, the consequences later will be far more devastating.